My name's Tracii Guns, and here I am at Tapetown Studios. And the reason I'm here is to show off the new Baum guitars that are, I guess we call them import guitars. Very high quality, cool, sexy guitars from a company right here in Aarhus. So, you know, they have a lot of pride, Danish pride, and I'm proud to be here to do this. So, if I had to think about what goes on inside my head when I play in different situations, you know, generally, if, let's just say, you know, an intense live show or something where, you know, we're going, you know, and things are moving nicely, and then really, you know, I play all the LA Guns music, including the kind of jamming we do. There's not, I try to empty my mind, you know. I know my scales, I know my patterns, I know the chords, I know what chords exist with inside keys, you know, things like that. So it's this constant evolution. So for example, when I write an LA Guns song and record it, that's just the blueprint, that's the song. You know, and they're recorded in a way to where forever after those songs come out to the public, I can improvise over them live. You know, I can stay within the main frame of the riffs and the parts and things like that, but I'm able to substitute chords and play different licks and different runs, keeping the song intact and those signature things that people want to hear when they see the band live, but I'm able to play within those songs. And that allows me to not get bored. So, you know, at the beginning of every tour, I put a set list together of what I think, okay, I'm going to play an E for 15 minutes, and we're going to switch to A, then G major. And so it's kind of these little blocks of keys, you know, throughout the set. And generally, I will change guitars within those keys, you know, like this guitar is great for this stuff, and da-da-da. And I try to keep dynamics in the set, you know, 2 heavy ones, 1 soft one, 1 heavy one, 1 medium tempo, you know, kind of keep a lot of dynamics. So way more thought goes into the guitar before I perform than when I'm playing live. You know, like once I'm up there, I'm not thinking, you know, and as a matter of fact, if I need to think about something, it can kind of disrupt my mood. You know, because if things are just going nice, then it's just like, wow, the show's over. You know, it's like, wow, I just played like all this stuff. I don't know what I played, but it was fun, you know, and that's always the goal, is to have fun when I'm playing. Okay, so what would I be thinking when I'm writing, you know, using a guitar? There's a lot of thoughts that go into it. It's like, the first thought is always, wow, I came up with this great riff. Now what? You know, that's always the first thought. Now what do I do? It needs to change chords. It needs a bridge. There needs to be some separation between the verse and the chorus musically. Does that come from chord changes? Does it come from volume changes, tempo changes, you know, time signature changes? And sometimes I'll think to myself, I'm just going to write this song. I'm going to demo this straight through, because whatever Phil's going to write vocally over it, that's going to be the dynamics of the song. So sometimes I can use what Phil does as the dynamics, you know, the highs and lows. So now I'm recording a demo of a song, let's say, and I always write the solo section when I write the original verse, chorus, bridge part. So, but now I've recorded the solo section and I got to listen to it 100 times. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? Is that enough bars? Is it too little bars? And I usually spend about 10 minutes, 15 minutes just improvising through it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then within that, something usually comes out where like, oh, I keep doing this there and I keep doing that there. And then all the influences come in. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of like, you know, like a Gary Moore thing, or like, oh yeah, that's kind of like a Scotty Moore thing. You know what I mean? It's like, so which direction do I want to go with this solo? You know, what story am I going to tell within this song? And so those kind of thoughts happened, you know, almost sometimes technical, sometimes I intentionally try to throw out all the knowledge I have of music when constructing a solo. And then there's the thought of chords, you know, it's like, oh yeah, these bar chords sound really tough and really cool. What can I put behind them to make it not so one-dimensional? You know, is there a chord inversion that works? Is there a different guitar sound that works against that main sound? Does it need a theremin behind it? You know, things like that. So in the creative process, there's a never-ending list of thoughts, you know, and you know, you almost see, because the way they've designed digital audio workstations now on the screen, you know, every track's a different color and things like that. And when you're working with those colors, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, this song really feels pink because you've been looking at these 5 pink drum tracks, you know, or something like that. And everything influences you, you know, when you're creating from that point of view. A couple of my friends, they're composers, you know, they even with rock stuff, they have it all in their head, they write it out, and then they play it, and it's done, you know, like, wow, you know, I can't do that, you know, I'm not that guy. But I sure do spend a lot of time thinking about stuff that's not obvious. Like, if I wrote a main riff that sounds just so much like Sabbath that I have to beat myself up, you know, okay, it sounds so much like Sabbath, I have to do something else with it that takes it into a different headspace, you know, and then they're like, Scorpions is different than Sabbath. What do Scorpions do? You know, like, you know, what does Motley Crue do? You know, and those are all the thoughts that go into making LA Guns music. It's like, you know, you know, we could easily sound like a 70s band, you know what I mean? And because those are most of my influences. So it's always like writing the 80s riffs and then like kind of looking backwards and like, how can I freshen this up or stink it up, you know, one way or the other. But yeah, thinking is for me, it's a positive thing. Thinking works for me. I don't overthink things. If I whip out a solo in one take and it sounds really good, I'm not going to beat it. I'm just going to be like, that's it, you know, that's it. Well, why did I decide to move to Aarhus? Well, it's the greatest city in the world, but, you know, I married a Danish woman who was studying archiving and library science at UCLA in Los Angeles. And we met on Instagram and we hit it off right away. And she was just about to graduate college, which meant that all of her support from Denmark was going away and she had to go back to Denmark, right? So she told me that, but she didn't want to repeat it again. So we just moved in together. And then she, you know, I got to go back to Denmark eventually, you know. And we worked on everything and we got her a green card. We got married. She got a green card. And then it came to the point where I kept saying, yeah, we'll go to Denmark, you know, but I never put the wheels in motion, you know. And finally, she's like, well, I'm going back to Denmark after we're married, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's time to go to Denmark. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you can't go without me. So she actually came here before I did and found our first apartment, you know, where we lived when our son was born in Trøjborg. And it was a little over a year ago. It was the first time I came here. And I fell in love with this place. You know, it's exactly my tempo. There's just enough people here. The traffic's just light enough. The coffee's so good. The food is so good. my wife's parents are the greatest, and I just settled here, you know. And we do go back to the States. I have a 12-year-old son in the States, and, you know, when I go back, I spend a lot of time with him. But, you know, during this, you know, coronavirus, I got stuck here last, you know, January, and then when I was supposed to leave in March, the coronavirus was here, and all my flights were getting canceled. So I benefited from that. I was able to stay here legally for almost 5 months, and I always feel safe here. You know, it's just right for me. I love Aarhus. Yeah. Oh, what's the difference between California and Aarhus? The weather. And I prefer the weather in Aarhus. I like it cold, and I like it. The air is so clean here. You know, it's crisp, it's clear, it's humid here. Summer kind of sucks here, even though it doesn't look like big numbers in temperature. It gets uncomfortable here. I grew up in the sun. I lived in the sun my whole life, you know, and this is nice. You know, I'm definitely over hot weather every day. The culture is so different too. Yeah, we don't need to go into that. Danish design is a huge topic in my home. My wife's an archivist, so that doesn't just include music or video or things like that. You know, she's really well read on Scandinavian design in general, but Danish design, particularly these lamps, you know, wooden tables, animal skins on wood furniture. There's a specific white paint in every, you know, interior in Denmark. Wood floors, minimalistic living, you know, in general. I mean, you know, hygge, you know, that's something that people don't maybe their whole life ever understand, even some Danes. But, you know, that whole culture. And then, you know, I've spent a lot of time on the West Coast too, you know, going through the old farmhouses and you know, people that still grow potatoes and you know, all these important things to Danish culture. And like I said, everything here is my tempo, you know, and, you know, that's kind of the thing about the guitars. You know, they have this classic elegance, which is Danish. You know, it's kind of like the old hi-fi set by B&O, you know, like the first one with the speakers and the way they look, and attention to minimal detail that really works, you know, and it shows in these guitars, you know. They're fulfilling. It's a fulfilling, soulful kind of thing, you know, that you know, I suppose there are other Scandinavian countries and it's the same, but I only know Denmark.